Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the announcement for the Twisted and the Twilight, the newest Lord Pack for Total War Warhammer 2. I almost said the wrong game there for a moment. My name is Blondie, I'm a content producer here at Creative Assembly, and with me today I have...
Hi, I'm Will. I'm on the Warhammer DLC team, and I was one of the main people working on this Wood Elves update.
Fantastic. So, today we're going to take a look at almost everything that is coming in the DLC and the updates on December 3rd. If you've been here before for one of our announcements, for example, Warden and the Paunch, A World Betrayed, The Furious Wild, you know how this works. We're going to use the game to illustrate some of the things that we want to talk about, but we're not actually playing the game today. If you want to see actual gameplay of the Wood Elves rework over the next week or so, our Total War partners are going to be putting out some fantastic content for you so that you can check out what the Wood Elf rework is all about. Of course, we're going to talk about it, we're going to inform you, but if you want to see it in action, Total War partners are going to have your back there. Basically, the motto of this is usually, we don't press end turn, is what I usually go for. And of course, next week on Wednesday, we are playing the campaign as Throt. So make sure that you follow the stream on Twitch or YouTube and come back on Wednesday around the same time as now so that you can learn what Throt is all about. Alright, so let's talk about what the Twisted and the Twilight is all about. So who do we have in the lineup here? We have the Wood Elves, because I said the Wood Elves rework, and I said Throt as well. But who do we have here? Who are the two main forces of the Twisted and the Twilight? Who are the Twisted and the Twilight, if you will?
So, as a lot of people in the chat have obviously spotted, the Twilight are the sisters of Twilight. They are, how do I explain them? They are the emissaries of Ariel, who we also saw in the trailer. And their kind of general role is hang on one second, I've just lost my thing. Yeah, there's two of them obviously. There's Nystra and Arahan, and they're kind of like the yin and yang. So Nystra is the kind of, she's the good, happy Disney princess, while Arahan is kind of angry and always up for a fight. And they kind of serve as the kind of primary emissaries of Ariel, the Mage Queen.
They're polar opposites, and we have some fantastic voice work done for this DLC that really shows it off.
They're always bickering. It's really good fun.
Indeed. Right, so that's a Twilight. So who's the Twisted? Yeah. Who? I mean, it's Warhammer, so they're all bloody twisted. But like, who's really twisted?
He is particularly twisted, even for a Skaven. So the Twisted is Throt the Unclean, the master mutator of Clan Moulder. And he's basically Rat Dr. Frankenstein. He lives to make horrible, disgusting mutant beasts. He even does all kinds of crazy stuff to himself. So one thing he did is he rammed a big chunk of warpstone directly into his face. So he's got a big warpstone eye, which had, unsurprisingly, some side effects. So he's consumed by this kind of constant hunger, even worse than what the Skaven usually have.
Yeah.
So he's pretty crazy. Yeah.
It's fantastic. Of course, it's not just him being sort of insane that is driving him, or rather, what has driven him insane is that in the lore he has this constant hunger. And the story we have set up on the Vortex campaign is sort of a Throt trying to sate his hunger using what else? Magic. And who has magic? Well, the Wood Elves, basically.
Yeah. That's
and
more specifically Ariel. Yeah.
Yeah, Ariel, the Mage Queen. I mean, there's magic there. So there's going to be conflict there. And so that's the sort of setup of the DLC. But I know that we put out a devlog in July where we explained sort of what you'll be getting with the DLC. But Since Wood Elves was a Game 1 DLC as well, I thought it best to explain a little bit of what the offerings are here so that there's no confusion. So, if you get the Twisted and the Twilight, and you only have Total War Warhammer 2, no DLCs, no Warhammer 1, no nothing, what you will get are the two new factions, the Sisters of Twilight and Throt the Unclean. Those you will get. You will also, even if you don't get the DLC, you will see them on the map because they will be there as AI, but you can't play with them. If you own Warhammer 1, but not the Wood Elves DLC, you will have access to both of those legendary lords on the Mortal Empires campaign as well. Now, if you do own Realm of the Wood Elves, which is the Warhammer 1 DLC for Wood Elves, you will get one additional legendary lord. So it's the free LC this time is tied to the Realm of the Wood Elves DLC from Warhammer 1. So you will get that free LC lord to play only on the Mortal Empires campaign if you have Realm of the Wood Elves. This free LC Lord will not be available on the Vortex campaign. And you will get a bunch of other stuff as free LC units because we've done a bunch of upgrades to the Wood Elves, and you will get the Wood Elves rework as long as you own the Realm of the Wood Elves or the Twisted and the Twilight, or both. You know, get both. I think you should get all the DLCs. I work in marketing. Can you tell?
I can agree with you on that.
Yeah. We will. I know. I see a lot of people in chat asking specific questions. How do the sisters work? Everything. So we will get to that. But I think we should start off with the Wood Elf rework to get that out of the way, because the Wood Elf mechanics are not necessarily known to everyone. Not everyone has the DLC from Game 1. So I thought, you know what, let's talk about the Wood Elf mechanics and the rework as if you've never seen them before. Because maybe there are a lot of people here who doesn't know how the Wood Elf's mechanic works, and therefore we should just take a look at it. So let's see if my buttons work here. Whoa! There we go. Fantastic. So here we are. Yeah. Here we are in the old world. We are in Mortal Empires. This is a game I've loaded up as Orion, and we are currently on turn 15. Now, what have we done, Will? What have we done here?
Okay, so the first thing I'll say is that, oops, I'm going to adjust my chair a bit. Amber is still here, but we've changed it. So people might remember, or if you haven't played the original game, originally Amber was something that you got by conquering various regions, and then you use that to recruit units and build buildings. And that kind of led to this situation where to actually get access to a lot of your roster, you had to expand out the forest, which wasn't very Wood Elfy. Like most players, you know, when you think of the Wood Elves, you think of someone who, you know, they keep mostly to the forest and only go out occasionally. Whereas actually you had this system which was forcing you to go out and be everywhere, really, if you wanted to get your cool toys. So that's gone, basically. Amber exists, but you'll only be able to use it to get certain special technologies. So if you open the tech tree, for example, you'll be able to see that we've got like 8 new techs which cost Amber. And they're kind of quite powerful and punchy techs that do kind of interesting things like give all your forest spirits poison attacks, for example, that kind of stuff. But yeah, so it'll only be used for that, and you'll get it in a very different way. So you'll get it from healing the forests, which is our kind of new progress mechanic for the Wood Elves. So everyone who wanted to see Amber gone, it is mostly gone. That's the kind of big headline thing there.
Well, you know, I'd say it's pretty much gone. Like it's gone in its previous iteration, and the new version is kind of maybe similar, but no, it's not the same. Amber is basically gone, and we've replaced it with something that has the same name.
Yeah, we tried to keep the one thing I think people liked about Amber was the fact that you would spend it in the tech tree. So that's pretty much the only thing we've
Yeah.
kept.
All right. Um, so what else do we have? What what what
So
what what do we have? What do we have to do as wood elves?
yeah, so one of the core things we wanted to preserve was this idea that you don't win the campaign by painting the map
Mm.
because that's not very wood elfy. This is quite difficult because almost every single Total War faction that has ever existed has been kind of based on the principle that you win by conquering everything.
Yeah, that's that kind of how you play Total War. It's Total War.
Precisely. And especially in Warhammer, where one of the kind of key attractions is you get to fight all these different kind of people and races. Like, so, if you spend your entire campaign sitting in the forest, it's just, that's not much fun. So there's a kind of whole suite of mechanics, all of which are designed to basically give you ways to, incentives to interact with the world,
Yeah.
but without forcing you to do it, but also giving you that opportunity to kind of be all over the place.
Mm.
So I don't know where you want to start. So I guess we'll start with the kind of concept of the forests themselves and forest healing.
Sure. Yeah.
So if you click on the Oak of Ages,
Yeah. We can see we
right.
have some icons here.
Yeah, so you'll see here this little bar that appears above the
Yeah.
settlement name. That's the forest health panel. So that is basically a measure of how healthy this particular forest is. And every single forest in the map. But by forest, I mean like specific settlements that we call forests, where the wood elves can build a whole settlement. They'll have a little bar like this. So if we fly over to one of the other places on the map, like in Lustria, there's a new.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do.
The Gaian Vale is one there.
Yeah. We have.
So
let me
some old
scroll
settlements
out
are there.
of it. So
Yeah.
we
But we
have
also have some new ones.
Sacred Pools.
Yep. And there's a new one up in Nagawand as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Witchwood. We'll save it there.
Yeah.
Make sure that
so
you
there
check out our Total War partners if you want to see all of it.
Yeah, so there are 8 in total. There's at least one in per continent. So the Wood Elves will have these places all over the map where they have to go and they have to heal them. So how do you heal them is the question. So there's a few ways. And the primary way is, so if you zoom out the camera a little bit, you'll see that a few settlements on the edge of Athel Loren have this little white marker next to them.
This one.
Like that, yeah. And if you mouse over one of those, you'll see you basically have this list of the status of those various forests. And these forests are what we call the heathlands. So they're the kind of ancient territories that used to belong to the wood but don't anymore. So your kind of goal with every forest is to secure those heathlands and kind of keep them safe so that the forest can heal. And you can do that either by like raising them, by occupying them, or having an ally occupy them. So there's kind of lots of various ways that you can do that. And that once the forest is healed up, they don't really matter anymore. So you can basically just be like, okay, I'm done here. I can abandon this settlement. And you literally can abandon it now. That's a new feature we've added for all races.
Oh, nice.
Basically, we try to push this idea that you have to go out there, but you don't have to permanently settle these regions. You can just kind of temporarily hold on to them, or even, make sure you've got a friendly, say, Bretonian ally looking after them for you.
Fantastic. So
people
then,
quite excited.
say that you're playing, Bretonia, or say one you're playing in co-op, and one is playing Wood Elves, one is playing Bretonia. You can really combo that together, so you don't have to make sure that I have this and you have this to get everything going. You just have to be friends.
Exactly, yeah. And it's almost better for you to be friends because Wood Elves still can't build walled settlements, for example. So actually having an ally who does that for you is often the optimal solution.
I saw someone asking if minor settlements were still like this. So we can see here I have 2 of the settlements, and that's all I'm gonna get.
Yeah, so we still have the old outpost system. I know some people didn't massively like it, but I think part of the reason was because, as I said earlier, you had the game kind of incentivized you to conquer the map, and if all you had to do that was outposts, that feels frustrating because you don't have the tools to do what the game is telling you to do. So they still exist, but they will be much less frustrating, I feel, because they don't really work in the same way.
Yeah.
They do have slightly stronger garrisons. We have tweaked a lot of the things to do with them. So they have different effects and different slightly big garrisons and stuff. But we did want to keep the sense that when you're outside the forest, you're outside of your comfort zone, and you're not going to be building like big fortified settlements. So
Mm.
that's something we wanted to retain.
Yeah. Yeah, the entire point of the Wood Elves is that you're gonna stick to the forest. You're not gonna go out and conquer everything. Um, you you're gonna have to really focus around. And honestly, if you could build like with some of the mechanics around the Wood Elves, if you could build like major settlements, they would be such a pain to deal with. That it's absolutely. I think it's very fair.
And also another thing to mention is that, like I said, we are adding more full settlements to the map.
Mm.
So you won't just be stuck in Athelloren and Lorelorn.
Yeah.
There's new places you can go as well. And we've also actually massively reworked the buildings in those settlements as well. So you can the development process within your major settlements is very different now.
Um, right. Should we talk about the deep roots,
Yes, the
which is
deep
kind of the
roots.
most bonkers thing. It's very unique to the Wood Elves. I don't think I've seen it in any other Total War game.
Yeah, this is the big new thing. Ever since the first Wood Elf DLC was announced, people have been
Yeah.
asking, okay, in the lore, they can travel through the world routes and appear on the other side of the world instantly. Back in the day, we couldn't do that. There's a lot of
Mm.
implications for kind of AI and stuff, but now we can. So you can teleport basically across the map. It has certain limitations, so you'll only be able to do it from one forest to another forest. So, say from Athelloren to the Witchwood in Nagarond and back. And there'll be a cooldown, so it'll be starts off at one army being teleported every 10 turns, but that can come down. And it's so cool. It completely opens up the map in a really exciting way.
Yeah.
You know,
Chat is going insane. I'm seeing a lot of PogChamps here. People are so happy about this, and this is why I said that the outposts is it's fair, because should we show it off?
yeah, go on, let's do it.
Let's throw the chat a bone, because we've been sitting here on this screen for a while. So you may see a new icon here in the Lords and Heroes bit here that is completely new. You can see that this character may traverse the deep roots. So let's select Felnisal here. Should we travel to the Gaean Vale?
Yeah, let's go say hello to Lariel. Yeah.
Boom. And here we are. So, yeah, fast travel.
Basically, yeah. And yeah, so you're now kind of stuck there for a little while. You can't just ping around like crazy, but yeah, it really does transform the way that you think about the world. It's really, really cool.
Oh God, chat is blowing up now. Fantastic. Yeah, so yeah, it really, I think it doesn't just transform, like it transforms the world and the way that you think about conquering when you have this kind of travel, because having like exclaves in Total War games is generally pretty bad because it's so hard to get to them. But like with this, you have these sort of separated territories that you can jump between so quickly. You see the world in a very different light, I'd say.
Yeah, that's something we kind of really wanted to play with elves as well.
Mm.
Like how the Heathland settlements around the magical forest as well, they deliberately don't necessarily match up with the province boundaries. So you might get like one region from one province and one from another. And it's all about building this idea that the Wood Elves have this kind of agenda which is a bit different to everyone else, and like they don't really care about your normal boundaries. They're doing something which is kind of separate and above and beyond.
Orion gets VAC banned. Teleport cheats. Yeah. All right. So we obviously we have more stuff in the Wood Elf rework. We have some reworked and retuned units and other things that I think we're gonna leave that to our Total War partners, if you don't mind, chat, because they're gonna show you actual gameplay coming over the next week or so. Right, so that's the or actually, no. Let's leave it there. Let's leave it there, and move on to someone else instead. Should we jump from one wood elf to another?
A lot of people are asking in the chat whether the AI can teleport.
Ooh, go ahead.
The answer is no. The AI can't use this. This is one of the limitations that we had to put in place. So the AI can't, unfortunately. But might actually be frustrating if they could. So
yeah.
I mean, but
right.
this like so. I will say we won't go through all of it because like literally pretty much every single part of the faction got changed in some way. We mentioned the buildings, like there's new skill trees for loads of characters. There's new office effects and stuff like that. So yeah, watch the other our partner streamers, and they'll be finding tons of little things that you'll get to see.
Fantastic. All right, so here we are. I have loaded into a campaign on turn 3 as the Sisters of Twilight on a Vortex campaign. So the Sisters start up here in the north on Vortex. I forget where did they start in Mortal Empires.
It's the same place in Mortal Empires.
In the same place in Mortal Empires.
Yeah, the only difference is that they also get the Oak of Ages in the same way that Durthu and Orion do. So they have a kind of dual start pos, which is obviously very interesting in this case because you can teleport back and forth between the two.
Yeah. And I saw a lot of speculation about how do the Sisters of Twilight work as units. Someone was speculating that like one sister would be the Lord and the other sister would be a hero. Nah, the one unit.
Yeah, they're very unique. So this is kind of like how they were on the tabletop, where they're always on a mount together, and they start off on their eagle, Gwendolor, and can eventually upgrade to their dragon, which I can never pronounce. I think it's Sethin Ha. And one really cool thing about it is that because their kind of mounts are both kind of like intelligent creatures, in campaign, when you're on the dragon, you can summon the eagle, and when you're on the eagle, you can summon the dragon. So you get this kind of little team, menagerie of monsters.
Gotta catch them all. All right, so as the Sisters of Twilight, we have access to all the Wood Elf mechanics we went on about earlier. Of course, on a Vortex campaign, there are only 4 trees to deal with, or sorry, 4 forests to deal with, rather than 8. I think you said 4 Mortal Empires, yeah?
Yeah, there's four in Vortex, and the kind of Vortex campaign is more like kind of slightly mini version of the Mortal Empires one. So in Mortal Empires, you're kind of healing all these forests, and they kind of feed back into Athel Loren. And the kind of long-term goal is to heal Athel Loren. Whereas here, it's a similar vibe, but the place you want to heal is the Witchwood. The kind of story of the campaign, because we haven't really touched on this, is that Ariel has sent the sisters to the Witchwood because there's a portal which is opened up into the Dreaming Wood, which is a kind of like slightly chaotic other realm. And they've basically been sent here to kind of heal the forest and therefore the portal. But someone else, when we talk about in a second, is going to intervene. So that's why they're there in Nagaroth.
All right, right. So, but so that's the sort of story we've set up. So, who are the Sisters of Twilight then? Like, what's their story? I saw a lot of people speculating that the legendary lord would be Ariel herself, but we've got the Sisters of Twilight. What's the thought process there?
Yeah, so this is obviously, I think, going to be a controversial decision that Ariel is going to be a legendary hero rather than the faction leader. But we kind of found, thinking through it a bit, is that what Ariel tends to do is she tends to kind of delegate quite a lot. So most of the kind of day-to-day stuff that's going on, she sends the sisters out to do it for her. So we kind of felt it made sense for them to be the kind of the front-facing aspect of the faction.
Yeah.
And one thing that allows us to do is when Ariel does come into your campaign, she comes out of the gate at like incredibly powerful, kind of not quite kind of Lord Croak level powers. She's a bit more kind of less. Croak is very much just like, I have a big hammer and everything is a nail that I'm going to blow up with the living Victor. Ariel comes in with this kind of much more kind of interesting and varied skill set.
Right.
But yeah, so the general sense is that the sisters are the face of the faction, while Ariel is kind of there in the background.
The puppet master, in that sense. Right. So of course, with a new faction comes new units. I thought we'd highlight some because we're not going to show them off today. You'll have to watch our future coverage for that. But as we mentioned, Ariel is a legendary hero for the Sisters of Twilight. We also have, I'm going to see if I can pronounce this correctly, Coidil? Is that how you pronounce
Coidal.
it?
That we probably shouldn't talk about.
All right, never mind then. Let's move on to my favorite unit in probably the entire game, just based on aesthetics, is the Great Stag Knights.
Yes. So, I mean, Wild Riders are like one of the classic Wood Elf units, scary blokes on stags. Great Stag Knights are basically that on steroids. They're on Great Stags, which are not just like a big stag, it's a giant stag. So they're monstrous cavalry, kind of akin to a demigryph, and they are incredibly powerful. They're just kind of like super, like, they're a little bit squishy, but they are like these, like their charges are absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
And the deer are really adorable. They've got these lovely little face masks, and they're very cute.
They're really cool the way they charge into battle. Easily my favorite unit of the DLC, just because how cool they are. I had to spend some time recording gameplay for a video that's might be coming out at some point, and they are so cool the way they charge into battle. But we're not showing them off today.
I see a couple of people in the chat saying, "Oh, we've already got stag units," but wait till you see these guys. This is not a normal stag.
These are great stags.
Yeah, and the great stags will also be available as a mount for lots of Wood Elf characters. So that's also a thing.
We have a question here. Are they shock cav or normal cav?
More like shock cav. So they have a bit of armor, and I think they have shields. I can't recall exactly, but yeah, they're definitely all about that charge.
Right. I also saw several people asking about the release date for this DLC. December 3rd is the release date. Apparently, the FAQ says December 9th. I'll make sure that we get that updated to the correct date as soon as possible. All right, so let's talk about one of their unique mechanics, the Forge of Daith.
Yeah, so one of the things about the sisters is that they have this kind of interesting relationship with Daith. Daith is the lord of the realm of Torgavan, Athelloren, and he is basically, effectively, one of the greatest smiths in the entire world. And he kind of dotes over them and likes to give them presents.
Right.
Usually weapons and armor. The problem being that Arahan, who's all about, she always wants like the newest thing, right? Every battle she throws away her spear and gets a new spear, while Nystra is all about, okay, I just want to perfect what I've got. So how this will work is that after every other battle, I believe it is, you will get the option to press a little button at the top.
Yep, it's this button here.
Yep. And that Daith will basically give you that choice of giving you upgrading an item or reforging it. And what happens when you reforge it is you get like a really strong version of that item, some of which have like really crazy effects, but it only lasts for a short period of time. So it's this kind of trade-off between kind of gradual increases in strength or like these big, like frequent bursts of power. And these items, I think there's something like 16 items in total that you can get an upgrade.
Yeah.
And you can equip them both on the sisters and on other people in your faction. So you can build up this kind of big armory of weapons and armors that you can kind of kit out all your characters with.
Right. So, yeah, basically, win battles, get stronger armor. Is the way of the sisters.
Yes, yeah. I'm kind of making those kind of choices between short term and long term. It's it's a nice flavor.
Of course, there's a lot more to this campaign than we've mentioned here. There's the whole story. There's cutscenes, a ton of stuff, bunch of units, let's save that for. I think we are doing Sisters of Twilight not Wednesday next week, but the Wednesday after that on this channel. So make sure you follow it or subscribe if you're on YouTube. If you're on Steam, hello, come over to Twitch and YouTube. So, is that it for Sisters of Twilight, you think?
Yeah, probably. I mean, there's a couple of questions I've seen.
Yeah.
So maybe if you load up the next one and then we can answer some of that.
We can answer some questions while that is going on.
Yeah, so people asking whether Ariel is available to all Wood Elves. Yes, she is. The sisters will have a slightly easier time getting access to her, but all Wood Elf factions will be able to recruit her. And in fact, Orion gets a special bonus for being in the same army as Ariel, so that's cool. What else? Oh my god, the chat is so fast.
I kind of blew it up when I loaded up Throt here. People are screaming Skaven.
I saw people asking whether the Seasons of Revelation campaign is coming back. No, it's not, unfortunately. It would have taken quite a bit of extra work to kind of get that up to Warhammer 2 standards, and we didn't think it was really viable.
I think it might be worth noting that all of the changes and updates that we're doing here are only available in Total War Warhammer 2. Total War Warhammer 1 will remain unchanged.
Yeah. Right.
Right. So let's zoom in on our. Actually, let's jump out here. Here we have him. Throt the Unclean. In the frigid north.
Yeah. So Throt, we kind of mentioned his kind of role in this campaign a bit earlier, but the kind of gist is that he has been informed by a mysterious character that Ariel is coming to do this ritual to heal the Witchwood.
Yeah.
And he is basically trying to harness Ariel's magic to cure his hunger. And the way he's going to do that is to basically capture her, grind her up into a paste, and turn her into basically a smoothie, a kind of magical smoothie.
Yeah.
So it's a very Skaven plan, which in classic Skaven form probably wouldn't work, but he's going to try it anyway.
Oh my god. Right. So Throt starts up here in the very tippy-top north of the Vortex
and in Mortal
campaign.
Empires, he will start in Hell Pit, obviously, the home of Clan Mulder. But in Vortex, he starts up here in Nagaron, in a new settlement, I think, just to the right of here.
I believe he starts literally here. And because I'm on turn 1. Right, so Clan Mulder, led by Throt the Unclean, obviously the masters of monsters and other things that go bump in the night. We have a bunch of new units for Throt. If you watched the trailer, you've seen Gorich, the massive rat ogre with armor, but there's something a little bit special about Gorich. What's up with him? Why is he special? Why isn't he just a normal rat ogre?
Yeah, so Gorich he's a kind of step beyond your normal rat ogre. So one day Archeon is kind of raiding, the lands of men, and one of his captains goes off and does something he's not supposed to, doesn't follow Archeon's orders. So Archeon sends this berserker off to help it as punishment. So what Throt does in his truly Throt fashion is to take that marauder's brain and put it in the body of a rat ogre. And the result is Gorich. So Gorich is basically a Norscan marauder in the body of a rat ogre, and he retains all the kind of intelligence of the marauder. So unlike most rat ogres, his animations are great. He doesn't walk like a rat ogre; he just walks like a huge henchman. But him and Throt have a very antagonistic relationship. Throt is kind of like, this creation it's very Dr. Frankenstein. It's like this creation is almost it's surpassed me. It's too much. But in the campaign, Throt will be able to basically subdue him and bring him back in as a legendary hero.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Another of my favorite just hero designs is Gorge there. He looks incredible and so cool in battle as well. Of course, that's not the only hero we're bringing in here with this DLC. We've also got the Skaven Packmaster, a staple of the Clan Moulder, I'd say, for anyone that plays Warhammer Tabletop. So what's the Packmaster all about?
Yeah, so the Packmaster is the new hero that Skaven are getting as part of this pack. He is kind of like a micro Throt in a lot of ways. He is focused on buffing Molder monsters. You can heal them a bit in campaign, but not in multiplayer. He can summon wolf rats, which are another one of our new units. So he's a kind of support hero in the kind of vein of the Necrotect, probably the best analog.
Sure.
Yeah, so he's a kind of cool little addition. And like Throt, they also get a Brood Horror mount. So Brood Horror is another one of the units we're adding.
Yes.
And a few characters, including the Packmaster, will be able to ride one of those, and it's a really cool mount for Skaven. It's very unlike anything else they've already got.
It's there's monsters galore. The Brood Horrors are definitely terrifying. Of course, both Throt and the Sisters of Twilight get new Regiments of Renown available to them, coming with the DLC. All right, so let's talk about the sort of, I mean, really the defining feature of Throt the Unclean and his faction, which is the Flesh Lab.
The Flesh Lab, yes, it's a horrible name for a horrible thing.
Yeah, we can see a bunch of things here that are normally not here, like this thing that I've very briefly moused over, and we have this thing here, and there's so much on the screen.
Yeah, so the big bit in the middle is kind of related to Throt's Vortex campaign victory conditions, so that's not really his mechanic, so we don't really talk about that. But you'll see next to that there's a little bar, little green bar that's kind of filling up, and that is the growth vat. And basically how that works is that as you fight battles, that will fill up over time. And once you get to certain thresholds, you can open the growth vat, and all kinds of gribbly monsters will just kind of spill out of it and get added to your faction's mercenary pool. So kind of what happens is that, when you open it with a little bit in there, some wolf rats might come out, and you'll get some wolf rats that you can then recruit for free instantly to your lord. So you'll be able to, if you click on Throt, you'll see a little button at the bottom there. So you haven't got any monsters in it at the moment, but there's an extra. You can recruit units from the growth vat. So
actually,
they almost
have one monster. But yeah, I don't have anything I can get.
There's nothing in the vat,
because this is turn one. I know you can't see the turn timer because I put will over it, but yes, it's turn one. Literally haven't pressed end turn on this one. You can also not see this button here that I'm about to press, although you can see the tooltip come up here, starting with FL Flesh Laboratory.
So another thing that comes out of the growth vat is something called mutagen. And what you use mutagen for is, unsurprisingly, mutating monsters. So this is basically, if we added the greenskin scrap upgrades in the last DLC, and this is kind of like that, but way more messed up. So rather than having one upgrade that you can put on a unit, you can have as many as you like. So you can stack on like several crazy different buffs, and some of them are really mad. So some of the top level ones, I think one of them literally makes your unit undead. It gives them all of the characteristics of an undead unit.
That's insanity. Let's leave it there, tease. We can also show one of the bottom ones. I'll show it here on this Storm Vermin. This one gives it Vanguard deployment and stock. And you can see that it costs 25 mutagen, and we have 100 right now.
Yeah, and the kind of the restriction on this is that while you can put all of these on there, the more you do, there's an increasingly high chance that the unit will become unstable, and that will make it as it becomes more and more unstable. It will have certain penalties applied, so it won't be able to replenish. And if you hit full instability, it will basically turn into a bloated corpse and explode as soon as it hits something in battle. So there's one tactic you can do is just get lots of Skaven slaves, throw loads of cheap mutations on them, hope they
Yeah.
become unstable, and just send this kind of wave of exploding Skaven slaves at the enemy. And it is very, very fun.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's fantastic. I love it. So there's different infantry augments, there's different monster augments, and then there's this button called laboratory. Now, should I click on it? Or should we leave
Yeah.
it? All right. So let's
I mean, the
laboratory.
Yeah, so this is mostly kind of like a way of just upgrading the lab over time. So you can spend food and gold to basically get permanent buffs to things like you might, for example, my favorite one is Clone Warfare, which means every time you recruit a Skaven slave, it comes with like 6 or 7 free augments. So you get these kind of really messed up Skaven slaves that just come out of the vat, and yeah, you don't know what you're going to get, but it's nuts. It's really cool fun.
That's insanity. Right. And up here we can see our growth vat, which gets various bonuses at various levels. Right. So that's the Flesh Laboratory. As we said, this part up here is the Vortex campaign win condition for Throt. So we're not going to go over that today, but we will on Wednesday when I'm joined by, I think Sean is joining me.
Yeah, Sean is the man for your Skaven.
Yeah. And then I think we have Nico is returning to us on Thursday when we're continuing the Throt campaign. Right, so that's all the gameplay we're gonna see. Today. So let's throw it back to this screen. Hello. Should we take some questions? We can do like 5-10 minutes of questions maybe.
Yeah, let's give it a go.
Yeah, I don't know. We have 9,000 people in chat. I don't know that we can that we can maybe catch all of them, but let's see. Oh my God.
I'm seeing a lot of people saying that they feel like the Skaven thing was a bit more than what the Wood Elves got, but we haven't shown you a fraction of what the Wood Elves
No.
get. The entire faction has basically changed.
Yeah, it's hard to show the Wood Elves because, as I said, we want to leave things open for our Total War partners. They're gonna very soon be showing you the Wood Elves rework, starting with Orion or Durthu. And next week we're gonna start showing off the DLC factions as well. Oh my God! Let's stop this scrolling and see if I can find anything.
A lot of people asking if there's new Wood Elf battle music. I don't believe there is. No.
We will cover the free LC another day, but there is a Freezer Lord, and there's going to be 2 free LC units that we're not talking about today. Did the other Wood Elf Lords get anything fun, or is it just the sisters? I mean, they got an entire rework for the Wood Elves, so
Yeah, and so both Durthu and Orion have updated skill trees with some brand new skills, and also we have overhauled both of their offices to give them new effects.
Right.
And Orion's Wild Hunt has also been changed, so now it's for anyone who's familiar with the old version, you basically got one lord who got to go on the hunt.
Yeah.
Now everyone who has an office will get to go on the hunt and get some special
Ooh.
effects. So it's everyone has got a little bit of something. Yeah, and he does still look like Mel Gibson.
Let's see. I've seen a couple of people asking about how it works with the DLCs. So I'm going to recap what I said at the beginning. So if the Wood Elves was, of course, a faction in Warhammer 1, and as such, if you have the DLC for Warhammer 1, you can play as the Wood Elves in Warhammer 2 on the Mortal Empires map. Now, the Wood Elves rework we've done will apply to them, so if you have the Wood Elves DLC for Warhammer 1, you're playing them on the Mortal Empires campaign, you don't have to buy anything, you get this for free. That's our big free DLC this time around. You get all of this fantastic rework stuff. Now, if you if you have that, you will also get a free LC Legendary Lord, and also I believe 2 free LC units is what they're called. I was trying to remember what the wording are. So 1 Legendary Lord, 2 free LC heroes or units. I don't know what they are. They are something. 2 free LC units coming with just for everyone, as long as you own the Realm of the Wood Elves DLC. Then, if you get the Twisted and the Twilight, you get Throt the Unclean and the Sisters of Twilight, both playable on both the Vortex campaign and on the Mortal Empires campaign. You can choose. Worth noting that the free LC Lord for Realm of the Wood Elves that we are also putting out is not playable on the Vortex campaign. And then there's so much other stuff. Yeah, a lot of people are. I'm just gonna because everyone is spamming this. I'm just gonna approach this because everyone is spamming last DLC. We don't know. Is what we're gonna say. Like, I don't know. Maybe not. If we have something to announce, we will announce it. There's no like, I'm not denying or confirming whether or not we are making more DLC for this game.
I saw someone ask whether Orion and Daith will be still limited to trees and elves. No, not in the same way. So previously Amber kind of prevented them from really getting access to the other half of the roster. We've kind of changed that so it's more positive. In particular, Daith has some mechanics that will kind of make his tree spirits stronger. We've got something called aspects in, which I won't talk about in detail, but it's a kind of cool new way that you can kind of customize your tree spirits a bit. So there'll still be that distinction between the two. Will Ariel and Orion have bonuses within the same army? Yes, that is a thing. Orion gets stronger if Ariel is in his army. Anything else I can spot in here? So quick.
When will we see partner content? I think it's starting this weekend. When can we pre-order? You should be able to pre-order right now.
Indeed. Are the Sisters of Twilight separate lords? No, as we said earlier, the Sisters of Twilight are one lord, so it's 2 characters riding a single mount.
Yes.
Did the tech tree get changed? Yes. So we added a whole lot of new techs, and also pretty much every tech has had its effects tweaked. So the whole tech tree has a kind of similar shape, but is quite different from what it used to be. You can't do things like you used to, like get total attrition immunity, because we know that was exploitable. So, but there's some other cool stuff in there which is new.
Right.
Can the Wood Elves still access underway stance? Yes, they can. So they still get their regular world route stance. That's still there. That's why we've called the kind of long teleportation the deep routes. So there's a distinction between the kind of short distance world routes jump and the long distance teleport jump.
Right. Are any of the starting locations for the first Wood Elves, for Orion or Daith, are any of their starting locations changed?
No, so both Orion and Daith will both still start in Athlon. We've tweaked their kind of starting diplomacy setup and stuff like that, but they will both start in Athlon still. Well, that's a good one. Can Wood Elves shoot through trees? So one exciting thing that we've added is there is a new bit of tech. Now all factions or all units will be able to shoot through trees in a way. So if you're right in front of a tree and you fire, there's a little grace period where it won't stop the arrow. So that will benefit everyone, but it will particularly benefit Wood Elves. So you won't see your units kind of just like firing into a tree, which is like 3 feet in front of the faces anymore, because that was quite silly.
Right. Can the Sisters of Twilight be played without a mount?
No, they're always on a mount. That's something that was the case on the tabletop, and it's something that we've kind of kept to. They're always on either their eagle or their dragon.
Cool. Um,
Can Orion get a great stag mount? No, Orion can't get a great stag mount. The great stags are big, but they're not big enough for Orion. Orion has had a few buffs, so I think he'll be able to. He can outfire while moving, for example. So we've gone back and given him some kind of battle tweaks, but no, he can't. He can't ride a great stag, unfortunately.
when does this DLC release? December 3rd. It's 2 weeks away. And we're going to be streaming a lot of it.
Does Orion get tech tree updates? Yes, all the Wood Elves will benefit from the tech tree updates. And yes, Durthu and Orion both have their skill trees updated, as I said earlier.
Is there a new lore of magic?
There's no new laws of magic. However, the Spellweaver, which is the new Lord character for the Wood Elves, they will have access, in addition to the 3 laws that Wood Elves previously had, they would also have access to the laws of High and Dark magic. And these will have special law attributes which are unique to the Wood Elves. So it's a slight variant of those laws. And Ariel, who we've already mentioned, she has a unique combination law, which is, I think, Dark, High, and Life. So it's this really crazy combination of spells.
All right. Let's see. Are there any more good questions? Let's take like 2 more questions. Any new regions? I believe.
Yes. Yeah. So there are the new forest regions we've added. So I think there's a few extra kind of Wood Elf settlements. There's one in Lustria, there's one in Nagaron, and I think 2 more in the Old World. There's also a couple of new regions, which I don't know. Maybe we'll leave that as a surprise for the content producers. But there's some other places that I think will contain some exciting stuff in them. So
fantastic. Guys, I know the Steam page doesn't work. We'll get it. We'll get it available to you as soon as possible. Make sure you check Reddit or Twitter. Last question. Let's find a good one. All right, this one is very quick, I think, so we'll do 2 more. Will augmentations for Throt have visual changes to the unit models?
Unfortunately not. That would be extremely expensive. So it probably would have, unfortunately, meant we couldn't have done it at all.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah. Someone's asking how Wood Elves confederate. So that's another thing we've changed.
Let's make that the last question then.
Yeah. So previously, you basically, when you got to a level of the Oak, you would just then immediately unlock the ability to confederate. We've tweaked that a bit, so when you get to that level of the Oak, rather than just immediately unlocking all confederation, you get missions, which will help you confederate faster. Alternatively, you can confederate from the start. It will just be a little bit more difficult than it used to be. So yeah, it's kind of designed to make confederation a little less kind of frustrating. Yes, you also, someone's asked about trade. You no longer lead the office position to trade. Wood Elves can trade from turn 1.
Fantastic. All right, that's going to do it for us today. Make sure that if you're on YouTube or Twitch, follow or subscribe to the channels accordingly to whatever happens. We don't have a subscribe button on Twitch and we don't have a follow button on YouTube, but we have it the other way around because we are going to be the first premiere of Throt the Unclean gameplay on Wednesday, 3 p.m. GMT next week. Okay? So make sure that you tune in for that because it's going to be the first time. We're going to have Sean here to talk about what really makes Throt tick, and we're going to go into way more detail than what you have seen today. So if you're like, I wanted to see more gameplay, Wednesday, baby. That's when you get it. And if you can't wait until Wednesday, I believe this weekend our Total War partners are going to be showing off the Wood Elf rework. So make sure that you tune in to them. Probably just search Total War on or Total War Warhammer 2 on YouTube, like on Sunday, and you'll find 1,000 videos on it. They will, of course, be able to show the entire thing pretty much. So, hopefully you enjoy that. Thank you, Will, for coming. This was great.
Thank you for having me. It's been great to see all how excited everyone is, and
Yeah, yeah,
really
yeah.
keen for you guys to get to play it.
All right. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you on Wednesday. Goodbye.
Bye.